When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ledlow, and enjoy today's episode.
Yeah, and then I went back to, eventually got back to DC, and then, eventually got back to my unit, but never really redeployed.
And you got a big medal for that one, didn't you?
Well, I got a Purple Heart.
Purple Heart?
CIB.
Okay.
Got the things you need. Got the things I need to make sergeant.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Almost lost your life, but you got sergeant.
Yeah, actually, we were joking about before we flew out. I was like, I think I made my points on a Purple Heart because, I think it's 40 promotion points for a Purple Heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were actually even talking. My team, we were all talking about because we're all specialists, and though I'm in charge, we're all the same rank, and we're all gone to the board now, and we're like, yeah, we're all waiting to become sergeants and E5s and maybe go forward in a career. And we were actually talking about how are we going to get this point thing figured out? I was like, and I think we actually, so one of us said, he's like, yeah, Purple Heart is 40 points.
Wow.
And that was like right before we got out there.
How did that make you feel? You got the Purple Heart and you got promoted. Do you have any regrets about all that, or was it something you look forward to the next chapter in your military career? Or you after all that, or you kind of done? You're like, you know what, I'm ready for my next season of my life.
No, I doubled down. I went to LURS after that. I went to a long range surrounds unit.
Really?
Yeah, I took over a team there, and
wow.
Yeah. I went. Yeah, so I actually doubled down. I re-enlisted.
Wow.
After that.
So you did 4, then you did what, 2 more or something?
3 more.
Wow, you had 7 years.
Yeah, just 7 years, but I never deployed after that. We were a part of the surge, and after that there was a drawdown.
Right.
And I kind of got a little bit caught in the drawdown. So
got it.
And yeah, about the time I got out, my body started kind of feeling it. I started kind of breaking down a little bit.
Of course, all those injuries. It's going to start feeling it.
Yeah. So
do you got disability from the government for all your pains? And good for you.
Yeah, not 100%, but doing pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you're a miracle you're here.
Yeah, well, that wasn't even my worst injury.
Not?
No, so 11 months before I got blown up, I was actually crushed by a striker.
Whoa.
So we're out in Yakima Training Center, which is the desert training center in Washington. And a vehicle broke down, and we had to drag it through the desert with another vehicle, and we got stuck in a ditch. And I was taking off the tow bars, and a bunch of us were, and most of the people after a while quit, and I just kept, being hard-headed, just kind of kept doing it. And when I took the tow bar finally off, the brakes failed, and one crushed me into the other and popped both my lungs.
Wow.
Yeah. So I popped both my lungs. I lacerated my spleen. I broke my L4 vertebrae, the wing of it, not the center part. Not that I'm a doctor, but yeah. So that was 11 months before getting blown up in Afghanistan.
That was before Afghanistan.
Yes, I actually did 2 of those in a year, which is kind of wild. It wasn't even a year apart. It was 11 months.
It's amazing you're walking.
Yeah, it's getting a little harder, but
it's getting a little harder. And you can laugh about it. I mean, that's just resiliency right there.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. But yeah, that's something I do think quite a bit, because I bled out for a while. And having my lungs, filled with blood, and just, my friends holding me while I'm just bleeding all myself, because it's a remote place. So you gotta get a helicopter out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got
remote, desolate.
Yeah. And you're suffocating the entire time. You're slowly suffocating.
They don't have a trauma center right around the corner in Yakima, Washington.
Yeah. That's where I went. That's where they flew me out to. And, my PA actually told me he didn't bring all of his gear because he thought he was just going to come out there and pronounce me dead.
Wow.
And he told me later, it was yeah, I showed up and you're alive. I didn't know. I thought you were, And all that saved me was the fact that I had my ballistic plates on, and it's side to side. The plates took the compression for a second before the driver was able to pull forward.
Wow.
Only thing that stopped me from being cut in half. Yeah. So
you get some guardian angels working overtime or something protecting your body.
I guess so.
Something's going on over there.
Yeah.
But, the man of 9 lives.
Yeah.
Is that your call sign now in the military? 9 lives?
I do remember a friend of mine saying, he's like, you're the most lucky guy I ever met.
Yeah. Wow. What a story.
Yeah.
Wow, we got some listeners plugging in. Thanks, guys, for plugging into the live stream. We appreciate it. Hope you guys are enjoying Paul's story of war and army and surviving trauma.
Yeah. So some of these people actually work with me. Perry is talking right there. He's actually he works for the company.
Oh, did he? Okay.
So is Juanita, and some of them I don't know though.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. And my mom is. Right
Hey,
there.
Mom. Hey, Jermaine. How you doing, buddy? I see you up there. Thanks for plugging in. Thanks for the compliment.
So yeah, and the whole time I was actually fighting too.
Oh yeah, you were amateur MMA or pro?
No, I never turned pro.
Okay.
Never turned pro. I was getting close. You kind of in MMA you kind of decide when you're going to turn pro. Whether someone gives you a fight when you turn pro is a different story, but a lot of times you want to game it. But yeah, I was fighting amateur all through my time in the military. Even competed for the Army in their combatives program. I actually went all Army to the tournament in Georgia in 2010. I believe in 2012 when I was thinking about going back, they actually started canceling it, all Army. But yeah, no, I fought for the Army, and I was fighting outside as well. And when I got out, I moved back to South Jersey, I started fighting again, and it took it more seriously for a while.
You're pretty good at it. I remember being in Las Vegas for the Close Protection Conference, and the Cowboys were getting into it. We're like, and you're ready to just jump in there and go help out. I'm like, dude, you don't have any insurance. If you get hurt, you're screwed, and don't do it.
I think some of the alcohol has something to do with it too.
a little bit of it, I'm sure. But yeah, you have been fighting, and you're just a natural. It seems like it's in your DNA to protect people. It's just natural. That's just who you are.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I appreciate. Thank you for the comment. I don't know. I guess a lot of it is to push yourself. That's the one good beautiful thing about mixed martial arts is that you truly push yourself to your limits, not only just in the ring, usually not in the ring, but like in training. You get to these points where you're truly, you and your partner are truly falling over each other, like that you can't even, the truly give 100% of yourself in training is special, and it's actually, especially with COVID, something I really miss. I'm looking forward to eventually getting back to it because I haven't been able to do that because of gyms closing and everything like that, and also starting a family. You
got a newborn?
I do.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Married?
Yeah.
Georgetown, living the life of an up-and-comer business owner out there. Georgetown Protective Services.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah.
For the record, I've known Paul for, a couple of years now?
Yeah.
And he has taken care of some private clients of ours.
Yeah.
And went to the White House on a couple of those events, and that's all we can really say.
Yeah, which I'm very grateful for.
Hey, you did a great job. We got a return callback on that one.
Oh, that's outstanding.
You have a tight ship over there.
No, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. It's not me, it's my team.
Absolutely. That's, Paul, that's one thing I love about the military. It's kept us humble, and we realize the importance of no I an individual, but T as in a team to make success.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I think, a lot of times when dealing with security firms, I think that's where a lot of people kind of do it wrong. That they too many people want to make the company their company, and they want to run every aspect of it. And the fact is, you can only go so far if you can. You got to take a leap of faith on your people, on your managers. You have to, because they can do more than you, and they're going to know things that you don't know. You don't know everything. Matter of fact, I know very little, and I find people and bring people in that have diverse backgrounds and things that I have no idea how to do, and really just try to mentor them, because I can't, this last thing that we did with the inauguration, I fielded over 50 people, which is by far the furthest most people I put in there. 50, yeah.
That's a lot of body agents.
Yeah, exactly. And if I had to actually do all that, it would have fallen apart. And it takes an entire team of people to go out and to manage their own pieces. But to do that, you have to have a trust in people that many times people in this industry don't have.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So true.
But that's how you win. That's the only way.
The trust.
Yeah. I mean, you look at every other company has a hierarchy.
They do.
So like, why is your boutique security firm not? Because the thing is, especially when you deal with your big box security management firms, your G4S's, your Pinkertons, your so-and-so, they will give you as much work as you can handle. They're making the judgment call if you can handle that. They'll give you literally all the work if they think you can field it. Those managers, what they don't want to have happen is they don't want to say yes to a client and then you can't provide last minute because it fell apart. So like with any of these companies that you're working for, which we entirely work for, we don't really go out and find our own clients at all. It's not in our business model to take clients organically. We almost always work within companies. And
that's been your success. It sounds like you understood your role in the industry. You realize you're a boutique company, and you realize that, hey, I'd rather be a vendor of XYZ company and service them and do a good job and get repeat business versus trying to go and get a contract and not having $1 million in the bankroll to show I can support payroll. And it's the pros and the cons of being a vendor.
No, exactly. And I mean, no one ever really talks about it in this way, but if you really broke down the security industry into security management firms and security fulfillment firms, it's so much easier to look at it like that. If you look at there's people who have the ability to have national clients, CNNs, the Facebook, the Apples, they can have the ability to have those kind of relationships, but they have to reach out to fulfillment companies in regional areas to fulfill their contracts.
Right.
Is there a company in the world that's licensed in 50 states? Like, I don't know, maybe Allied Barton.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sorry, Allied Universal now.
Sure.
Maybe then, but most of them aren't. It doesn't really make sense. It's for them to do it. Some places you can't because you might have to actually be incorporated in that place. So yet you have to reach out to these vendors. So if you just decide like, oh, I'm going to be a vendoring company only, and I'm going to build relationships with other companies and just get out the idea of taking on a bunch of organic clients, you're going to be better. And not only that, your work is going to be more diverse, because you, as a boutique company, you might get 1 or 2 main clients and you might have a 50, maybe even 60% margin on it. But what happens when you lose that client?
Yeah, exactly. Good point.
When you deal with management companies, then you have a diverse client. Them keeping the client is their job. That's their job, and that's a job that I am not ready for. Managing people, that's something we can handle. And maybe one day we'll turn the corner and do the other thing, but we're not there yet. And I think so many companies and so many people, they just see the dollar signs and they just run at what's going to make them the most money, but they don't respect the process, and they don't understand the importance of building leaders and taking yourself out of the equation. Like, I'm obviously, when you talk about Georgetown Protective Services, you mostly talk about Paul Turner now, but the goal is for that soon not to be the case, that I'm not really this figurehead of the company, that the company is something else besides me. When you talk about G4S, you don't, there's not a guy that comes, unless you know someone G4S, you don't have a specific idea, Pinkerton, outside of thinking of, the
brand,
actual,
the name.
Yeah. Or the actual Pinkertons at one point.
Right.
And a brand and a company can be greater than you, and it can be more than you can ever be. And honestly, it should be. If you think about fulfilling your life's goals, if you fulfilling like, the greatest of life pursuits, it's to build something better than you.
Does that come from the military, the team cohesiveness and building the morality and keeping the morality of, or the moral value of the team together to fulfill the mission of whatever the mission is?
Maybe a little bit. The structure definitely did. I see myself now as a battalion commander, and I have, companies that,
when you run your company.
That I handle. I have captains that they run their teams. So like,
oh, we got a comment there.
Oh,
Anthony?
Yeah, Anthony is one of my managers.
Oh, thanks for joining us, Anthony.
Yeah.
Nice comment. We appreciate it.
Anthony's actually taken over our biggest client next month.
Congrats, brother.
Yeah, we're very excited that he's gonna.
Perry. Hey, Perry. Thanks for joining us.
I didn't know when we started this, we had Messenger on.
Oh, yeah. Blowing up over there. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the comments on there.
But, really, after a while, in my opinion, and like, it's funny that I talk about these things. I mean, this could really, really, really blow up my face. I mean, my company could really shit the bed fast because I have some like really dumb ideas that don't work. And so it is kind of funny at this point for me to like grandstand about what I'm doing. But I guess that's why we're doing a podcast. So
I know one of the biggest reasons why you experienced history on January 6th. You called me and said, dude, you won't believe what's going on. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm on the ground. I'm like,
yeah,
what? And hey, Chris, do you have that video? We can show that video and you can narrate it there, Paul, when we see it on.
Accidentally found myself basically on the steps of the Capitol as the riot started. Like we were with like probably the first 20 people in, and my client was like, "Oh, we got to go," and I was like, without even thinking, just jumped over with them, and to not to protest obviously, but to film it. And he just got a little too close. He got a little too involved, and he's yelling things like, yeah, if we get arrested, we get arrested, and have you been maced yet today, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, all right, man, listen, I'm here to tell you what's safe and not safe. And, hey, this is not safe, and I can't be arrested. You can be arrested. You're a photographer, you're not licensed. It's like, I have a company license, I have a plethora of personal licenses. It's like, I cannot get arrested for treason and run a security firm. I can't have the FBI hunting me down and still like provide for my family and to run a company. And I did something that was actually really hard for me to do. Was I had to drop my client. He paid me, ironically paid me in cash. I know, running all these people, but people are still paying me in cash sometimes. And handed back, just gave it back to him and said, I got to go.
You just felt a little guilt come over you.
Oh my
immediately.
God. Oh, it's crazy how bad I felt at the moment. It's crazy. And I'm looking after like, the most my company and my family. And yet like giving up a client and being like, hey, you're on your own. Like we talked, we tried, if we had a little more separation, if I wasn't like, if I wasn't 6 inches away from the police and there's like, everyone's getting in fist fights. I mean, like I was really there. Like at one point I was like face to face with police and their ride gear, stuff like that. And not that I'm scared that I'm going to get beat down or something like that, but there's a point where you're like, oh, I'm suddenly and accidentally doing something that seems very illegal and maybe even treasonous.
So your life was flashing before your eyes that minute, that second, when all things are breaking loose and everything's about ready to explode.
Well, no, I was actually the opposite.
Okay.
Initially, most of the group, at least the group I was in, I mean, there's left and right, and and also the backside, which I could never even know what was happening at the time. But like when I showed up there, everyone like rushed, fast. It was actually, I hate to laugh about the situation, but we should laugh about every situation. There was like 5 police officers on the front lawn telling everyone to stop, and they got ran down like middle school football team against the Patriots.
No kidding.
Oh, they just got trucked. I mean, you're talking
mob.
It was like 5 officers who are not. You see when you watch the videos on news, you see a lot of that. You see like officers like, oh, it's 1,000 people and it's 3 of us. And I think they saw the first 5 people get like ran over a little bit, and they were like, they were trying to almost, it was actually almost looked like football. They were trying to like almost block for a second.
Sure.
And just like the amount of people just running through them, just piled on them. But once we got up to the steps, like no one actually knew what to do. So like everyone's kind of like stopped and was just standing there, and they're like, kind of like looking at each other, and the cops are kind of looking at them, and like you can even see like some of the people like right next to me are kind of like joking with the cops a little bit. The cops are like kind of smiling and laughing back, and there's like for a second they're like kind of like joking, like
were they?
Yeah, like because that's and I think that's the thing about the Republicans and these MAGA people in general is that
sure.
their kind of whole thing is that they're pro law enforcement, but at these certain points they have to kind of like go against, they have to kind of break the law a little bit, to do whatever they're going to do. So it's probably kind of very difficult for them to kind of get over that. And the cops, frankly, is probably a little difficult.
We got a comment
too. That's Josh Davis, another one of my managers. Thanks.
Hey, Josh. Thank you. Meredith.
my wife's solid picture.
That's your wife?
Yeah.
Hey, wife. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, she's very excited to see Tom Brady win the Super Bowl.
Oh, was she? Oh, another one. Nikki.
Oh.
Thank you, Nikki.
That's my sister.